Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Now, I'm going to be amazed if anyone's as crazy as me being up at this time of night. So, but here I am. Better get the lighting right. Everyone will be very disappointed. Right. Okay. I'm not really angry. I'm not even really that annoyed. I think I've got a feeling of loss and betrayal. And what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Yeah, guys, please repost this everywhere and tell everyone to like and share. Okay. If we get loads on tonight, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked, but you never know. This stream tonight, I didn't even give it a name, did I? This stream tonight is about what's been happening in Northern Ireland. And I'm going to do more, but I just want to get some of the stuff off my chest tonight. I'm going to play a video, which is the Chief Constable of Northern Ireland accusing the rioters in Ballymena of being racist. And I've spent Monday, Tuesday in Ballymena. I spent some of today meeting with, what would you say, community leaders. I spent this evening in East Belfast at a protest when it was lashing out the heavens, and we had hundreds, 200, I don't know, I didn't count, but a good number of people there for a protest that was called at the last minute in East Belfast, and people showed up. And again, it was peaceful, it was respectful, it was exactly what a protest should be. So the question is, there's a few questions, and I'm going to go into a lot more detail on these questions. I'm actually working on a video for Tommy. I've done some stuff with Ezra, and obviously I'll probably self-publish a lot of stuff as well. But basically, to put it all in a nutshell, what's happened in Ballymena, to call it, well, do you know what? I'm going to play this dopey coppers, and this is the Chief Constable. I mean, I never rated him, and now I'm just going, this guy's a balloon. But I'm going to play his stuff anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think it's ridiculous, but let's hear what he's got to say. Give him full screen.
That was an unforgivable attack, and that young girl has been traumatized enough. And I've met her family this morning. What followed on Monday was a lawful protest by some 4,000 people against that assault. We've arrested 2 teenagers who've been charged and are in custody. We've identified a 3rd suspect who is currently out of the jurisdiction, but we will be bringing him back into the jurisdiction. Criminal justice will take its course. This young girl has suffered enough. She has been further traumatized by what has happened over the last 3 nights. After that protest, where people rightfully and lawfully expressed their disgust at what happened to that girl, left peacefully, the entire event was then hijacked when we saw disorder of the nature that we do not want to see anywhere in the United Kingdom, and we will not tolerate in Northern Ireland. I've spoken to the police officers that night, our 2 serials who were on duty for that protest, who put themselves in harm's way repeatedly, getting families, young families out of houses who are hiding in attics, who are hiding in wardrobes, who have done nothing wrong. They are not criminals. They contribute positively to society here and are well integrated. They are valued members of society in Northern Ireland. Fire service colleagues described how they went to the scenes to stop arson attacks at those addresses, and how they, in all their years in the fire service, have not seen levels of violence to that level. And told me specifically and directly of the bravery, the courage of a very thin green line of police officers that without doubt, in my view, saved lives that night. Since Monday, we've had 2 further nights of violence. This behaviour, and I completely endorse what the chair of the policing board has said, is wanton, disgraceful, criminal behaviour that is absolutely race motivated. We've had 13 arrests to lunchtime today. There have probably been more as I've been sitting in the policing board. We've put our public order inquiry team together. We'll be releasing images of those responsible. We will be going after them. Stop this violence. We will come after you. We will arrest you. We will prosecute you successfully. It is not in any way a way for a civilized society to behave, and it must stop now. I want to specifically mention the 41 police officers who've been injured. Each of those officers have put themselves in harm's way to protect our communities. And I want to send a very clear message to all our diverse communities. We stand absolutely shoulder to shoulder with you. We are here to protect you. We are your police service, and these bigots and racists will not win the day.
This is your brain.
Right. Okay. So that is the Chief Constable of Northern Ireland. By the way, let me know, guys, if there's echoing. I'm just going to take a speaker out, which I think could have been causing the problem. But let me know if the echoing stopped, if that would be okay. I'm a bit tired, so if my words are getting a bit muddled up, I'll apologise in advance. Look, I was in Ballymena Monday and Tuesday, and I've got friends up there. I met a couple of friends, and obviously trying to find out what's been happening off them. They introduced me to other people. So I've spoken to a lot of people, not people who were rioting, normal, everyday people from Ballymena. And I can tell you, first of all, this was not a racist riot. How do I know that? Well, the Chief Constable knows that. And do you know how we can prove that the Chief Constable knows that? Because he claims that he met the family, one of the families that was involved in the one of the families of the alleged victim of whatever's happened. But then again, because of these pathetic and ridiculous contempt laws, and because ambulance chasing lawyers that want to try and get scumbags off with stuff, I'm not saying these guys are guilty, because everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Because of our contempt laws, it's very difficult to talk openly about what's really going on up there. But let me just say this, right? For the people in England, most people in Northern Ireland know all this. For the people in England, what's happened in Ballymena? There's been allegedly, and I say allegedly because we have to, 2 serious sexual assaults in the last fortnight of underage children. One of the children was from a very prominent family in Ballymena, and the father of that child is a mixed race gentleman. I think his mum's African, dad's Northern Irish, Ulsterish, Irish, whatever you want to say. Okay, Northern Irish, obviously, it's Ballymena. So this gentleman spoke at an event on Monday. He got a massive response from the crowd. Everybody was supporting him. Everybody was there for him. Everybody was there for his family. So to say this is or racially motivated is a complete lie. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is a bad element of migrants came into Ballymena within the last 10 years, set up shop. We're talking drug dealing, brothels, people trafficking, all the crime that goes with organized crime. And you see them parading about with wads of money on the internet and so on and so forth. So apparently allegedly these people are Roma gypsies. That's what everyone's telling me. The Romanians don't have a problem. The Filipinos aren't causing any problems. The African people in Ballymena aren't causing any problem. It is specifically, according to the people that I spoke to, it's specifically the Roma gypsies in that specific little enclave. I think it's called Clonavon. Spent a couple of days there. I should know what it's called, but basically, this is what's happened. So a small cadre of criminals set up shop. The PSNI did nothing. In fact, anytime, this is what people have told me on the ground, Anytime anybody tried to complain or make a noise about it, the PSNI would tell them they were racist. That's what I've been told by people who live in the town. Women, middle-aged women, young women, were scared to walk through Harryville at night. They were scared to walk through Ballymena at night because of the tentacles of this little criminal enterprise that's allegedly going on there. Now, again, this is what people are telling me. I've no hard evidence, but anecdotal evidence from eyewitnesses is normally a pretty good indication of what's going on. And I'm not going to talk about the two cases with the young girls. I'm not going to talk about that at all. What I am saying is there is definitely, or there was, a criminal element in Ballymena. But guess what? I don't think those people are there anymore. I think they've actually left town. Okay? So they're no longer in Ballymena as far as I know. Could be wrong in that, but that's what I'm told. So for the chief constable to conflate everything and say it was about race riots and that there was no context that makes it, and obviously there's no justification for violence, not at all. I've said that. I said that the night of the riot, the first riot. There's no justification for that, but there are reasons why people behave like that. Now, what seems to have happened is that the houses of these criminals were targeted. Seems like the criminals had already left. But then, and this is where it is wrong, the houses, of course, it's wrong to target anyone's house, but the houses of migrants who weren't criminals were targeted again. And why does that happen? Well, obviously, there's people that are just carried away with themselves. It should never have happened. You know, it's heartbreaking seeing Filipinos and I think there's a Bulgarian lady being terrorized in their own homes. That's wrong. It's evil, and it shouldn't happen. But the problem is in Northern Ireland, we have a way of dealing with things, with paedophilia, with criminality. And that's just a fact of life in Northern Ireland, especially if the police aren't doing it. And when you have a community where people have parachuted themselves in, they're claiming benefits, they're milking the system, they're not working regular jobs, they're involved in criminality. Now, this is just what I've been told. Sooner or later, when the police don't do anything, when the authorities don't do anything, and when more and more migrants are coming into the town, there is going to be an explosion. Now, I was in Ballymena on Monday night filming for Urban Scoop and filming the peaceful protest. Had no idea there was going to be any trouble whatsoever. Urban Scoop got in touch with me, said, will you go up and film the protest, explain what had happened? I went and filmed the protest. As we were leaving Ballymena, the police directed us directly to where the riot was happening. They told us they wouldn't let us out of town the way we want to drive. They blocked roads off. They directed us right up onto the position where the riot was happening. How many other people got pushed down that part of the road? That's very strange. When myself and my cameraman got to the area, we got out of the vehicle and saw the crowd, so we might as well get some footage. Walked round down a side street, turned a corner because there was police there, turned a corner where the police were, walked 50 yards down that road, and people were smashing houses up in front of our eyes. It was, the anger was absolutely immense. Okay, that was what was happening on Monday night. We stayed there, I suppose, for half an hour, filming the police doing nothing, chatting to some of the locals, looking at the damage, getting video footage of it, and then we left. But after that, it went absolutely ballistic, as you well know if you've seen the footage. Then Tuesday night, I was up doing an interview with Ezra Levant because Ezra knew I'd been in Ballymena the night before, and Ezra wanted me to go up and do an interview outside the houses that had been attacked to give some context of what was happening. I went up there, did the interview. Again, as I was going to leave the interview, because I wanted to do another interview with one of the guys from town, crowd started gathering, very good natured, didn't seem to be any aggravation, didn't seem to be anything happening. And within half an hour, the crowd was completely surrounded by TSG. You know, so if you're watching in America, SWAT teams, or if you're watching in the UK, I suppose Special Patrol Group was used to call it. Basically, you know, heavily body armored police officers, batons out, and I didn't see exactly what happened, but I know they kettled everybody in and kettled everybody out. So that area of town, people were being pushed, and then riots started. And again, I got a film some of the writing. But in all the time I was there, I didn't hear one racist comment, which is very unusual for a race riot. Filmed, I mean, there's a lot of footage. I did a lot of filming. So why are the police insisting on calling this a race riot? Why don't they call it an anti-immigration riot, which is one of the lefty newspapers call it? It's not fully accurate, because the reality is this is a reaction, an explosion of rage, because a very prominent family in a very small town, and Ballymena is a market town, it's a farming town, it's a rural community, good salt of the earth people. A very prominent family in that town that everybody would know had been deeply wounded and deeply hurt. That's what it's about. So this police officer talking about it being totally racial, it's not true. Why can't these policemen start telling the truth and telling people really what's happening? I'm going to look at the comments, guys, because again, I don't want it just to be a monologue, because that's the whole point in doing live streams, because it's to get interaction so we can see what's happening. And there's going to be at least one documentary going out. One I'm doing for Tommy. And again, it's a lot wider. If you're in Northern Ireland, you know what I'm talking about. This is going on everywhere. Let's have a look. Well, I mean, I think the Roma gypsies are from India originally. I think that's absolutely where they're from. It's what they always do. Racist card doesn't work anymore. Well, that's the whole thing. It just, wear it as a badge of honor, because nobody cares what they call us. We don't care. I know I'm not racist. My son's married a Filipino girl. He lives out in the Philippines, and not racist at all. Yeah, I think that's a really important point. There's been Filipinos in Northern Africa, no problems. They make exceptional cakes and desserts. They do. They're lovely people. I mean, the reality is, and this, I suppose, I could be accused of racist for saying this, but the reality is there are people that are very nice and pleasant people, and then there are other people who aren't so nice and pleasant. I mean, if you come from a country, and this isn't the case with the Roma gypsies, I don't really know much about them at all, but it seems like this little clique of Roma gypsies are involved in criminality to a large extent. That's what people in Ballymena are telling me. And they've been here about 10 years. They kept coming up on buses from Dublin, all this sort of thing during lockdown. So this has been an ongoing issue for a long time. It's exploded. But for the police, for that dim-witted First Minister of ours, and the media just to constantly bleating about racism, it's boring. We're all bored with it. We're not racists. We're concerned residents, and we're sick of you scumbag middle-class elite. Do you know who we really don't like? We don't like the little media types, the little politicos, the senior police officers who are looking down their long noses at the working class people of the United Kingdom, the working class people of Northern Ireland, salt of the earth people who've worked all their lives and have got very little return for it. And as a lot of people that I'm talking to up in those areas, lived in those areas all the time, said it was a lovely, peaceful area, and they've seen what's happened, and they're heartbroken what's happening to their towns and cities. And I'm heartbroken what's happened to my town. And I'm heartbroken what's happened to Northern Ireland, what's happening to England, what's happened to the Republic of Ireland. I'm heartbroken, and I'm disgusted that it's been allowed to happen. And again, we've got to stand up. I'm not talking about violence when I say we've got to stand up. I'm talking about we've got to take a stand. We've got to get out on the streets. We've got to, tonight, East Belfast, 6:30, road blocked, no violence, protest, Freedom Corner. Went on for an hour and I left. I don't know how long it went on after that. No violence. There's a lot of stuff you can do that's not violent. But people, like I said in that, if anyone saw my Twitter or my X post earlier on the video, we have to stand up. Boy, do we need a political party, and it isn't Reform. There's a massive hole on the right for a decent political party that'll get things done. Yeah, 40,000. 40,000 known terrorists living in the UK. What is that even about? And let's get it right. They're Islamist terrorists. I think 90% of them are Islamist terrorists. You can go and fact check me, 75 to 90%. It's a lot. Most of them are Islamist terrorists. And yep, That's where we are. We are being completely overrun. Exactly, Pauline. Exactly right. This is the whole thing. This is how we've been gaslit. That chief constable, he needs to resign. He needs to go. It's as plain and simple as that. That man needs to go. How dare he gaslight us and tell us that we're basically the ones that are in the wrong here? We weren't rioting. I didn't burn anything. And here's the thing. There was probably, I was there both nights, right? And from what I saw, again, it's different after dark, of course, right? From what I saw, there was 20 to 30 people rioting, if that. A few kids giving the police a run around, okay? Doing some pretty terrible stuff. It's not good to burn people's houses down. It's not good, okay? Shouldn't happen, right? It's not good to smash people's windows. It's not good to kick people's doors in. It's not good, right? So totally condemn anybody that's doing that sort of stuff. It's not good. But the vast majority of the crowd that were there were not rioting. They were there to protest. And there was no facilitation for the protest. I didn't see a lot of elected representatives. I'm not going to condemn the MP up there because I know the MP up there, Jim Allison. He's excellent. He's an excellent MP. And I believe Timothy Gaston, excellent as well. Speaking up in the House. The TUV are great. The TUV are an absolutely magnificent political party. So Jim Allister is not part of the problem. But there will be representatives up there from the Alliance Party, from Sinn Féin, from the SDLP, from the Ulster Unionist Party. Even, I don't know about where the DUP stands on this. I've heard Paul Frew spoke quite well last night as well. But the UUP, Sinn Féin, SDLP, all the progressive parties, the Alliance Party, all those progressives, and their progress is real regress because they're taking us back to the Stone Age. They have a massive amount of blame in this, and they can't even see it because they're so bigoted, and they hate the British Protestant working class with a passion. All of those parties do. Simple as. They hate them. They hate us. They hate me. They don't have anything to do with us. And that's what we're up against. They would rather sit down with Abdul from Afghanistan than with Billy from East Belfast or Richard from Bangor. That's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of the matter. So, what do we do as a country? Because the problem in Northern Ireland is we've got a local assembly. It doesn't really have much power. I don't think we have any power over immigration. We've got a smattering of MPs. We need a party that will do something about this. And I'm going to tell you something now, right? Reform is not that party. So Ben Habib, Rupert Lowe, Nick Tenconi, sort your acts out. Because UKIP ain't going to do it on their own. William Coulston, SDP aren't going to do it on their own. Unless you come together and build something and lay down any pride, lay down any arrogance, lay down any eccentricities, and start thinking really seriously about how you're going to save this country, we might as well say you guys are going to end up as bad as Farage. Somebody needs to step up, set up a party, and start running with it, because time is getting very, very short. And we have one last go at saving this peacefully, and it's in 2029. Reform ain't going to be the answer. Reform are going to be probably worse than the Labour Party, because they're going to come in and so many people are going to hope that they're going to change everything, and they're not going to do anything that needs to be done. That's my opinion. Again, in the comments, slate me, attack me. I'm done with them. I'm done with them when they have a chairman that's just appointed starts talking about some weird, don't know what was going on, but some bloke starts strangling whatever his name, Bull, is it David Bull, and claiming to be his granny. This is what he said on national TV. This is David Bull, the new chairman of UKIP. He's seen some Ghostbuster thing, and some guy got possessed by a demon and tried to strangle him. Okay, that's who we've got as chairman of UKIP. And then, of course, he said, which is kind of a little more relevant, immigration is and always has been the lifeblood of this country. Really? Really? Is that really true? I don't think so. I really don't think so. So reform, they brought back Zaire Youssef. Farage is attacking Israel. Man, I mean, it's just like, What do we do? What do we actually do? And the answer is, I don't really know what we do. I genuinely don't know how we solve this problem. I genuinely don't know how we. Oh, sorry, Yams. I didn't see these super chats here. Sorry about that, guys. Tommy is officially. Tell me more. Let me know in the comments about that. Does anyone know about this? Tommy's officially Christian. That if that is true, I mean, I deliberately haven't spoken to Tommy. I've witnessed to Tommy. The problem is Tommy knows what a failed Christian I am, so I'm not a very good witness. But that's another story. But I've spoken to Tommy about Christianity for many, many years. Loads of other people have. If Tommy has become a Christian and he's right through for God, that would be amazing news. Because look, if you've got God in your life, you've got the Creator. If you've got Christ in your life, you've got the only one who can save, and the only one who can actually make a difference to our country. You know, what's that Bible verse says? The wicked should be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. So, yeah, let me know more about that in comments, brother. Let me know what's going on with that. That's amazing. Carl, do you think this is going to spill over onto the mainland? Depends what happens on the mainland. If Tommy gets locked up in July for these trumped-up charges, it could do, unless Tommy makes a massive appeal for it not to. But it could do. If there's another terrorist attack, if there's more stuff on the grooming gang comes out, if there's something like Southport, it could happen. And I think I was saying I said it this afternoon actually on I think it was this afternoon. Yeah, it was this afternoon. Did a podcast with Voice of Wales, and they were asking about what was happening in Ballymena. I said, look, if this spreads to, let's use an example. This is okay. So let's say it spreads to Coleraine, parts of Londonderry, parts of Belfast, Carrick, Bangor, Larne, Portadown, Ballymena, Ballymoney. Now Ballymoney, interestingly, don't have this sort of problem because they're very, very, very careful who they let into the town. Ballymoney's a very good town with some very good people in it. So Ballymoney doesn't seem to have this problem. But this looks like it's spreading in Northern Ireland. If it spreads to half a dozen towns and it gets serious, police won't be able to cope with it in Northern Ireland. It doesn't matter how many police they bring across from Scotland. They're not used to dealing with Northern Ireland public disorder. So that's one point. Then we've got the Irish Republic. If the Irish Republic blows up and the serious disorder in the Irish Republic, well, the guards were there. I think the guards were bringing people from Spain and Portugal or somewhere because it's EU. You know, they were bringing police in from the EU to police the riots in Dublin. The water cannon went down from Belfast, etc., etc. So that's an issue. So if the Republic blows up, if Northern Ireland blows up, and if the rioting descends into some sort of sectarianism, which would be a disaster, because a lot of, I'm not about the rioting now, I'm about the protests. A lot of the protests have brought Protestant and Catholic together, which has been an amazing thing, because we realise this is our island. It's not Mohammed's, it's not Aisha's, it's not Abdul's. It's very much, it's disputed territory between the British and the Irish for sure, and that's gone on for a long time. But at the end of the day, we speak the same language, we worship the same God, we follow the same football teams, we drink the same beer or Guinness or whiskey, whatever it is. We are kith and kin. We should never have been fighting. It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. The troubles, so many wasted lives, disgusting, disgrace. You know, I put the blame fully at the feet of people like Jerry Adams, for sure. If it wasn't for the IRA, that there would have been some sort of settlement in Northern Ireland that would have been equitable for everybody years ago. And of course, I get people say, well, the loyalists did this, but the loyalists were a reaction to the IRA and really always have been. So I put the blame squarely at the feet of the IRA, but that's just me. But people are coming together now, and people are seeing Sinn Féin for what they are. So that's dangerous, because Sinn Féin may decide that to gain some power and popularity in their little enclaves, that they decide to go back to the bomb and the bullet. I hope they don't, but that might happen if they're being very, very seriously ostracized. They might try and manipulate situations to get themselves in that position. the question is, do I think it's going to spill over into mainland? Long way to answer the question. If it does spill over into mainland, I think the white indigenous people have got a big problem. Because let's say it was and I'm talking hypothetically, let's say there's a Muslim that carries out a terrorist attack, a jihadi, right? It's possible. It's happened a lot. And something really bad happens. In other words, there's mass civilian casualties, or even a small number of civilian casualties like we had with that scumbag that stabbed those 3 little angels. Something like that happens, the lid blows off, and it's going to be very difficult for anyone to put that back on. But the problem that the English have is they'll be coming up against the rape mafia. They'll be coming up against the jihadists. They'll be coming against conservative Muslims and extremists that think this is their opportunity to launch for a Sharia-controlled state in the UK. So a lot can go wrong. So if people got to be careful what they wish for. Now, Ballymena last couple of nights has been a prime example. Yes, there's reasons why the rioting happened that aren't what the police are letting out, but at the same time, burning people's homes down is not a good idea. It happened during Drumcree and it destroyed Drumcree. Houses burned down in Ballymena. I think it was some sort of drug debt or something like that. I'm not sure the full details of it. Houses burnt down. 2 little Quinn, I think it was 2 or 3 of the Quinn boys died. It closed Drumcree down. So if there's widespread violence, it will put normal people off going. So it's not a good idea. Tactically, I get why people do it, but it's strategically a very bad idea. And it makes people feel like they're doing something, but there's a lot better things you can do with your time than go out and burn things and throw bottles at the police. Do a lot more valuable things. Get an education, start studying, get into politics, start voting, register to vote. Everybody that's a Protestant and loyalist in Northern Ireland should be voting right the way through to England, Scotland. Everyone's a patriot in England, Scotland and Wales. You must be on the electoral register, you must be voting. And if there's no candidates, stand your own. And remember, we've got the pledge and we've got, something like 50,000 people signed up to the pledge. So don't burn stuff, don't riot, get involved in the political process. That's what's got to happen. Okay. I'm going to have to see some of these guys. And I am going to go to bed. So I just wanted to come on and just say, look, do you know what? We're all being lied to. We're all being lied to. I agree 100%. That's the problem. That is the problem. Yeah, absolutely. And listen, the reality is, I quite expect my door to get kicked in, because I was up at those 2 protests. I have nothing to do with the organisation of riots or disorder, but I was up at both those 2 protests. And of course, the police, that will have been noticed. I've made videos where, I'm talking in detail about these things. So I quite expect the police to come and arrest me. If I get nicked, remember, there's going to be a GoFundMe to pay my legal fees because I'm broke. Can't say. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about this, okay? This is really important. When I was there, me and my cameraman were standing in this footage. I'll see if I can find the footage and plonk it in this live stream. Let me just see if I can do this. But I'll keep talking while I'm trying to do this, okay? So there's footage of me and my camera guy, and I'll not put the audio because the audio quality is really bad, standing between the police officers and the rioters. Now this was on the first night, and what was happening was, if I find the footage, I'll play it so you can see. What was happening was, as we were, there we go. I think that's some of it there, is it? Okay, let's see if I can play this. If I can play this, I might be able to just pop it straight into, what's that one like? So let's see. So I'm going to do. So I don't know if you can see what's happening there. See in a minute. So basically, all the windows on the houses are getting smashed. That guy's just running down, kicking doors in. Now that was happening. You'll see in a minute. I think if we can get the camera panned around. Okay, so it's what? I don't know. Let me see if I can get some better. We just see if I can get some better footage, but it shows you how close the police were to what was actually happening. So bear with me. But you see how vicious that was as well. I mean, that was houses. Imagine, the terror, in those houses now. And again, I am not standing here in judgment on anyone or anything, right? What I'm trying to do is give context to what was actually happening and to show you what was actually happening. So let's see if I can. Here we go. I think this is it. This could be it. Oh man, isn't technology wonderful when it works? I can't get that working, guys. But the reality is the police were standing 50 meters away and didn't do anything. And I've got footage of it. They just let that happen. So ugly, violent, disproportionate, yes. But then these people have reached a point of absolute breaking where they're so angry and they're so frustrated that there's nothing else they feel they can do. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning it. But like I said on the day when I made the video, I'm not condoning it. It's wrong. It shouldn't happen. But I can understand it. I can understand the frustration. Those kids, a lot of those kids will never have a decent job. They'll never have a good career. And not because they don't have ability and they're not intelligent, but because of the way the system's stacked against them. So they're going to struggle. And they know they're not going to even be able to rent a house, let alone afford to buy a house, right? When I was in the military, when I was 18, 19, all the sort of sergeants of the corps were all right, son, you've got to buy a house, get yourself on the housing ladder and all that. I bought my house at £29,000 in 1990, right? I've never moved. So, it's basically, it wasn't a massive investment. To buy a house like this now, you're talking, what, £250,000 or something ridiculous, And it's exactly the same with renting. Rentals now are through the roof. So people cannot afford anything. Can't afford to do anything. So yeah, let me just put my glasses on and see what's going on here. So do you think it's going to spill over to the mainland? Yes, it could. The answer to that is yes, it could spill over into the mainland. Okay, I must watch that. Yeah. Do you know what? Because there's been that much going on over here, I haven't had a chance to have a look at it. I must watch that. That's great news. I must have a look at that. Really appreciate that. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Tommy is definitely a Christian. He proclaimed Christ as King last year. Keep up the good work. Thanks so much for those super chats, guys. And yes, I do appreciate that. the issue is, and I'm not putting people up, but the issue is, I'm still waiting to say, my counter media channel is monetized on YouTube, and I'm encouraging everybody, if you're not on counter media, please go over there. If I get the monetization right on YouTube and I get up to a decent amount of subscribers, what I'll be able to do, because at the minute I'm just going to be very, very brutally honest about what I'm doing at the minute. I'm trying to juggle between a full-time job or a business and doing the activism, and it's very, very difficult. What I'd love to be able to do is flip things and have a career doing this and fund it through YouTube, like Maya Tusi does, you know, like Paul Thorpe does, or Jeff Taylor, or, you know. And again, you're not making, some people make a better living than others. I think Maya's sort of the top of the tree when it comes to that, but I think it means I could do this full time, whereas at the minute I'm literally pulling myself, you know, in all sorts of different directions. So that's my eventual aim. If I can get counter media up to a couple of 100,000, 300,000, it would then mean that I was in a position to earn some money. At the minute it's on like 4,000, so it's a long, long way to go. But I've got big plans for it, because I think we need a voice that is Christian, that is not scared to go places that people don't want to go. I mean, I can tell you what, being in the middle of those riots for Monday and Tuesday was interesting. Took me back to my days in the military. And there's always energy in those sort of situations. This sounds very bad, right? What I'm going to say, I said it on the live show, I'm not condoning any of it, but there's energy in those sort of situations, and you've got to be nimble, you've got to be on your toes. So, and I'm talking about doing this as a journalist, not as a rioter, obviously. But yeah, I mean, that's what I want to do. So that's what I'm aiming for. I want to try and get myself from where I am now to basically being able to do this full time, so I can give you guys loads of really good quality film, more, you know, better quality than I've got now, you know, get some good equipment and really give you guys what you deserve in news coverage. Because, you know, I'm not boasting, but I kind of have a pretty good grasp on what's happening in the world. I look at it through a Christian lens, and that's going to be the perspective I'm coming from. And again, I make loads of mistakes as well. So, Paulie, sorry, Paulie, don't, you done? What you done with? What you done with? Why are you done? Oh man, listen, everybody is really hacked off, but we've got to keep our nerve, and we've got to work out how to do this. And let's get it right, Paulie. If I come on this channel and say, go and do this, this, and this, I'm going to end up in prison just for saying stuff, because that's the way it is in this country. And I think the people that enjoy my channel don't probably want that, and I don't want it. Oh, is that better? I'll maybe just move the mic. Just bear with me. Let me just move the mic. Oh, boom, boom, boom. This is because it's really late and I'm really tired. I'm not properly prepped, I'll be brutally honest with you. But I just thought I wanted to come on. I just thought I wanted to come on and just say, listen, this is what's been going on. We've been gaslit. We're not being told the truth. I'll probably go for another 10 minutes so, because my voice is going as well. We're not being told the truth, and we need the truth, and we need to hear the truth. Where's my mate, John Capone? Why isn't he on tonight? Okay, what's this one? Tommy is officially Christian. Okay. Every dollar I find is stolen from whites. You're giving too much to the term. You're giving too much to the term as usual with controlled operations. I don't understand what that means. Exactly right. Well, I appreciate that. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jane, but I appreciate. Do you know what, Paul? I understand where you're coming from, right? I understand where you're coming from, but Georgia's but definitely better than World War. Look, I've been to hundreds of protests since I've been doing this, and some of them have got very, very, let's just say, kinetic, but none as much as Monday night. I mean, Monday night was in a different level, and I have always made sure that I've stayed away from violence. I've had people in my face. I've had jihadists in my face, you know, trying to provoke a reaction. But I tell you what, you know, as soon as any of us lift a hand, they're going to bang us up straight away. And this is a long fight. It's a long battle. And listen, I lived a very violent past when I was a young man, when I was in the military, before I was in the military. And it's not a good way to be. So I want to avoid violence as much as possible, because I've been violent. I've been in the military. I was in Northern Ireland when it was very violent, and I've had people try to kill me, and I've been in situations where you know, well, I'm not going to say anymore, but we've all had situations where things have been, you know, interesting. Let's just put it that way. These media and politicians tell the truth? Nah, of course they don't. Of course they don't. Of course they don't tell the truth. They're liars, absolute liars. What's going on in the case is so deep. I know how deep it is, but Tommy's new interview with PW, I watched it twice. It's truly sick thing who are involved and how it's been. I'm going to have to watch this. You know, do you know what, guys? I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go and watch this video. But I hope that gives you an idea of what was happening in Ballymena, because I'm going to do a report on it. I think there's going to be a lot of trouble throughout Northern Ireland in the next few days and weeks. Yeah, he's got it. I agree, Kelly. Dougie's on it. I think he's been great. You don't win wars with boots on the ground and taking the ground from it. You don't win wars by talking. You win wars. Go for it, Avatar. Go for it. Go for it. Do what you got to do, mate. You know, fill your boots. At the end of the day, I'm joking, by the way. Look, the bottom line is, you cannot reason with a dictator. Or maybe I was right first. Yeah, do you know what, Avatar? I get all that, mate. But do you know something? The reality is, at the minute, none, especially in England, nobody's in a position to do anything, because yeah, it's just, you know, people have got to be smart about this. If we can do this politically and win it politically, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. But I get everybody's frustration, and that's why I'm saying I understand, and I understand why people are doing crazy stuff. I get it. When I was young, I did crazy stuff, but now I believe there's a better way. Okay. Oh, mate, hang on. Yes, mate, bear with me. What I'll do, I'll put the link in the description here, okay? Oh, in fact, hang on. Actually, it should be on the page. Bear with me. Bear with me, Jay. Just give me 2 seconds, mate. Should see at the top there. PayPal.com. That's the address. That's what you need to look for. PayPal.com/PayPalMe/countermedia, and that should get you there. I'll get it up on the screen and just drop it in the thing. And by the way, thanks so much for that, Jay. I really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Okay, so I'll just share this screen. Share the screen. Okay. There you go. So that's what you're looking for. If you wanna help me out, that would be really, really kind. Honestly, Jay, that'd be so appreciated, man. Thanks, Holly Hughes. Hey, Richard, please stay safe. Thanks, Eva. I agree, Luke. I agree. He's got no. If you're talking about that copper, he's got no reason, or that's that dreadful Prime Minister Starmer. No reason to condemn any of us. Totally agree with that one, Hunter. Absolutely right. And it's not just that. I mean, listen, I've lived in this country since 1987. Never lost my English accent, but I've lived here since 1987. I know a lot, probably more than most people do. I'm not boasting, but I do. Yeah, I really, I don't think that man should be chief constable at all. Not a chance. Thank you, Richard. For too long, because these people revert to using interpreters court. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. This is the problem. I mean, everybody's taking the mick out of us, and the ambulance chasing laws. And I mean, you know, we haven't even talked about what's going on with the grooming. We haven't even talked about what's going on with the boats. You know, there's so much going on. This is one incident that sparked off major problems throughout Northern Ireland, and people have just had enough, and they don't want the community's been taken over by people who aren't from the country. I think it's as simple as that. I think that's very fair. What's wrong with that? Seems to be totally legit to me. Tommy is definitely a Christian. Yeah, that's great. I think I put that one up already. I agree. Yeah, and Christ is the real leader. You know, this is the thing. I mean, I could very, one of the people talking about violence and this, that, and the other. If I wasn't a Christian, I think I could have turned that direction. But I'm Christian, and I can't go down that direction. I don't want to. But I understand why people get angry, because when I was younger, I was like that. I wanted to fight everyone. So I get it. I get it. UKIP or Habib, Rupert Lowe. I'll turn that out here. Sorry, guys. Okay. Right, guys, it's coming up to midnight. Do you know what? Are you all insomniacs, or you're working a night shift somewhere? Come on, tell me. Why? I mean, I'm crazy and hyperactive, so that's why I'm awake all the time. But why are you guys awake? Come on, give me some answers in the comments. Why are you awake at 12:30? Are you in a different time zone, or are you just all mad as a box of frogs like me? You are across that system. Absolutely. Listen, I mean, I haven't spoken to Tommy about his faith at all, because I believe it's a very personal thing, and I don't want to sort of, he knows. Yeah. This is why I'm going to feel really bad for asking that question, because, oh, John, there you are, John. John, I was wondering where you were, mate. I said, where's John Capone when I started this live stream? I was talking to your brother yesterday, mate, and today. Oh, man. You've PTSD. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm that too. No, I can sleep okay. I actually don't. I can sleep when I leave. When I turn this off, I'll go upstairs, I'll lie down, I'll be gone. Like, I don't lie awake. Once my head hits the pillow, that's me. I'm gone. Anyone who's betting now for next time, betting on live show, and make a comment. I always do. Oh yeah, yeah, I do. I watch YouTube in bed all the time. I watch it in bed all the time. It's brilliant. YouTube is such a. I mean, do you know what? It's just a pity it's so censorious, because YouTube is a really good platform. Being able to do this, to me, is like, I said to my wife the other day, I said, I'm made to do this. This is what I'm meant to do. You know what I mean? You're in Canada. It's 7:30 in the evening. Got you. Okay. Okay, got you. That makes sense. I'm loving the feedback. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Because we're crazy and hyperactive too. Yeah. Yeah, listen, I mean, do you know what? I think there needs to be more than just Nick, though. This is what my point. I mean, I'm on the board of UKIP, right? But as it stands at the minute, we ain't going to win the next general election unless there's a lot of changes happening. And but I would encourage anyone to join UKIP, because at the minute, Ben and Rupert are talking a good fight, but they ain't doing anything as far as I can see, and they need to. And I'm not criticising people. What I'm doing. Oh, thanks for that. Really, really appreciate that. That's great, Jamie. Thanks, brother. Pray for God. Yes. We do pray for that. Pray for God's kingdom, all of us together. Yeah. Let's do that. If you want to just do that, pray that God's kingdom will come. Thy kingdom come. And all the atheists are going to be recording and spinning around, and their hair standing on end. But for all the mad insomniacs, it's a good time to pray when you can't sleep. I mean, this is really bad, but I find when I can't sleep, read the Bible or pray, I'll fall asleep straight away. And that's not because the Bible's boring. I just think it's just the Lord help me get to sleep. Never went to bed before 2 a.m. Oh man. Do you know what? I mean, honestly, I don't find it hard to sleep, but I've just got so much on at the minute. I wanted to get a stream out there. Oh, I appreciate that, Howard. That's really kind of you, mate, and very kind of your wife. Do appreciate it, man. Do you know what? Listen, guys, honestly, seeing what I saw on Monday night, and the violence and the anger, Literally, I mean, you saw that footage there that I filmed all that footage myself. So we were literally meters away from what was happening. And it wasn't my job to intervene. I was there as a journalist. I wasn't there to get involved in stopping or not stopping the violence. I was just there to observe it and to report on it. But seeing that, and I thought, this is what, when people say they want a civil war, this is what they want. Because I'm telling you now, guys, that what happened on Monday was child's play compared to what could happen, and it was still vicious. Okay, still really, really vicious, and we've got to not, yeah, we've got to not go down that road. In my opinion, you know, we've got to find a way back from that. And you see, I understand how easy it is to go down that road because of what happened in Northern Ireland, because of what happened in the Troubles. Someone said they were from Ballymena. Where was that? Because what I'm doing, I'm chatting to people in Ballymena. Yeah, I get that, but obviously it's legal talking. It's something that unfortunately we've got to do. We've got to talk that way. So let's think about this. Let's think about this. So if we form out the answer, we've got 4 years to build the answer. We've got the pledge. 50,000 people signed up the pledge. You haven't signed it, and you get a little pledge sticker up here. If you haven't signed it, go and sign the pledge, because the pledge is for the people, as the song says, to give the people power. And it does. If we use the pledge right, it will give the people power. Like I say, we're not being hyperactive on the pledge and sending emails out to people every week and every month. I've still got an email there that's waiting to go, and I just haven't got around to doing all the back end stuff and sending it. So, but the pledge is there for when this election happens, that we can influence the situation. Anyone that agrees with those things in the pledge and sign them can influence the situation. Yeah. So, do you know what, guys? I'm gonna have to go because I'm actually not an insomniac. I will sleep when I go to bed. Let's leave us on that. The Western world is in danger of becoming Islamic. Well, this is where Christian revival is essential. Now, when I first became a Christian, I got obsessed with revival because I have a bit of an obsessive nature. I got obsessed, I spit my teeth out, obsessed with revival. I read about 30 books on revival. So I know what revival looks like. And are we in revival now? Who knows? But God's doing something. And I think this will be the greatest revival in history. It will be the great end times harvest that Jesus talks about and the Apostle Paul talks about. The Jews will, not all of them, but the elect number of the Jews, which will be a sizable number, will get saved, and that will have a transformative effect on Israel, hopefully on the Middle East, and also on the church. And you know, the scripture is very clear about that. So the casting away of them was a blessing to the church. How much more of a blessing is it going to be when they come back in? So Christian revival is massively important. And then you'll probably not be worrying too much about politics if everybody's becoming a Christian. I think that's what we need. You know, that's what we need. God's side with Charlemagne and not Candy. Yeah, absolutely agree. Yep, I get it. And was it Charlemagne? Was it that did the Battle of Tours? Was it Charlemagne? I don't think it was, but yeah, God's always had his people in the military, and sometimes you need to fight, and sometimes it has to be very, very violent. But again, to me, we're not at that stage, but it could happen very quickly, and that's what worries me. That's what really worries me. I don't want to see that, but it could happen. Oh, let's have a look. 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 What are we looking for here? Do you know what I love doing? I must admit, I love doing live streams. I really love them. Now, see if I can find this. There we go. Here we go. Oh dear, that didn't work. So this was happens when you're tired, everything slows down. I'm going to play the song because Kelly's asked for the song, so I'm going to play the song. By the way, does anybody apart from Kelly want me to play the song? Because if it's just Kelly, I'm not going to play it. Anyone else want to play the song? I'm that tired. I was waiting for somebody to say in my ear, yes, I want to play the song. The camera is addictive, mate. Yeah, it's pure narcissism. Pure unadulterated narcissism that I'm suffering from. Do you know what, guys? This is everything's running really slow on this machine at the minute. So if I can get the song up and it's playing all right, we'll get it there, yeah. But I've done that many videos. It's way down the pecking order. Right. Oh, here we've gone up another 100. So the other thing is, yeah, keep subscribing to this channel as well, because it's good to have people on both channels. Let's have a look. I think we're there. There we go. Now I can't hear this because I've had to unplug the audio, right? So you're gonna have to let me know if this is working.
Where are the men of it? Where are the men who bled and died in foreign wars untold? The men who conquered all on the father of men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold. Where were the men of England when abusers so depraved took the daughters of our nation, who forever they enslaved? What of the men of England that looked the other way? They took the country shilling, they never made their play. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? The vile police and vice squad, they all seemed quite amused, as at the hands of groomers our daughters were abused. The politicians blamed the lads who stood up one and all. Most of all, they blamed the one who always took the fall. Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land. Where are you, men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? Where are the men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honor wasn't sold? Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within your hand. The future not yet written for this green and pleasant land. Where are you, men of England, the heroes brave and bold, the men who stood for faith and truth, whose honour wasn't sold. Where are you, men of England? For now we all must stand. The future of our children is still within.
This morning, my friends, I asked a question.
Well, guys, here we are. So I don't know if anyone saw what was it called? Something Englishman, right? Not obviously his real name, but someone Englishman. Richard, you're a fake. I don't know why you keep playing this song. So I put his comment on the page because I believe in free speech, and then I thought I don't believe in free speech that much, so I blocked him. Anyway, maybe it's not the nicest thing to do, but it is what it is. It's late at night, and I'm getting zero tolerance for idiots in this day and age. I don't know about you guys, but I'm bored with idiots, and I don't want to really interact with them anymore. Yeah, it's AI. Yeah, it's an AI song. So basically, what I did was I wrote the lyrics because I'd always had this. I did a speech years ago called "The Men of England," where I said, "Where are the men of England?" It was about basically men not doing anything about the grooming gangs in England. And I did that song about a month, 2 months ago, just with AI. Just put those words, that had been rattling around my head for years into a bit of a lyric, and AI is brilliant. I mean, it just spat that song because I'm about as musical as a turtle. I can't sing, I can't play a musical instrument. I tried playing a musical instrument. I sing in church, but that's why nobody stands in front of me in church. So yes, okay. One of our people said, "Shall we pray the Lord's Prayer?" This isn't AI. This is absolute reality. So let's pray the Lord's Prayer together. Let's get a bit of a serious moment, a bit of a solemn moment, and pray the Lord's Prayer, and then we'll close the meeting. So anyone that's worried, that's stressed, that's going through a massive amount of pressure, just pray this with me, and I'm going to read it from the book, so I don't miss anything else. I find, even though learned the Lord's Prayer off by heart when I was a kid, I still find as you get older, you sort of miss words out, miss sentences out. So I'm just going to read it. I'm reading the version that R.T. Kendall had in his book on the Lord's Prayer. So let's just pray the prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And do you know what we could do? See, on Sunday, we could maybe do a study on the Lord's Prayer. Just take it verse by line, go through the Lord's Prayer, and then yeah. Oh, good stuff. Guys, listen, great. Thanks everyone for popping in, even that guy that was giving me abuse, but he's gone now. But yeah, let's just keep doing this, and bless you all, and have a good evening and get some sleep. Hopefully we'll all be asleep by 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. God bless you all. See you soon.